Hello and welcome to Queendom TV. Today I'm going to be doing a video, or rather starting my mini-series entitled Why is K-pop more popular than J-pop? Now, this was an idea, or rather subject, that was suggested by one of you guys, so thank you Ariel for giving me that suggestion. I am working on these things as I said that I would, guys, so this is going to be a mini series where we're going to go through in stages, starting off with the history of K-pop and J-pop, the rise of both of them and their international popularity, and therefore finally bringing together all the findings and asking the question why K-pop is more popular, and I say popular like this for a reason, you have to stay tuned, than J-pop. So without further ado, without talking too much, if you love everything that you're seeing, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well if you're liking it. Let me know down below what you guys think. I'll be giving you the history from the research that I found. Obviously I'm not perfect, guys, let's just put that out there, and I'll never be able to look into everything that's out there, but I figured out some very interesting things, and I'm also going to be giving you guys my perspective, and I'd love to hear you guys as well. K-pop, Korean pop. Pop means popular music, so worldwide now, you know, people would consider popular music as, you know, rock or maybe R&B. You've got, you know, the technos and things like that. So the popular music, the types of music that you would hear in us Western countries on the radio, that's what we would class as pop. So Korean pop culture is actually the third largest export industry for Korea, which is awesome. However, there have been a lot of ups and downs that Korea has had, not just with pop culture, with music, I mean in so many ways, even politically. And so even the issues they've had politically, they've had similar struggles in the area of music. So a lot of people believe that, or would say that K-pop actually originated in a district in Seoul. Is that how you say it? Seoul. I'm so sorry guys if I've mispronounced it. Please, if you know, guys, let me know in the comments down below. In 1966, there was a rock band, the first Korean rock band was performing, and in a venue that was very local to a US Army base. Now, the importance of mentioning this US Army base is the fact that Westernization and the Western world is going to be a very important thing that we're going to keep reflecting on as we go through the journey of popularity and its influence, even in, you know, these Asian countries. So at this time in 1966, when people were going through a lot in Korea, I mean in the 1900s they had so much going on politically, did I say the 1900s? Yeah, in the 1900s in general. But on top of that, you know, one thing that people don't normally talk about, which I found out myself just because one day I decided to look into it, is actually, if you didn't know, South Korea is actually a third Christian. So Christianity in North Korea, Christianity actually started in North Korea. And then as the, you know, the governments and things were changing, which by the way, guys, I'm glazing over this because I want this a lot more to be about the K-pop and the J-pop, but I feel like this history is still important. Please feel free to look into it more if you are interested. Or you can ask me and I can do more if you're interested as well. So yeah, just let me know that in the comments. But so the Christians moved. Basically what happened is Christianity ended up not being okay in North Korea because of the government that ended up coming into power at the time, and so all the Christians they were either persecuted or had to flee to South Korea, and that's why now you've got a third of South Koreans are actually Christian. And I just thought it'd be interesting to throw the religion into that as well, because people talk a lot about the politics and, you know, what's going on in North Korea and South Korea, but I just thought it'd be interesting to know that and to see if what that might entail or suggest, even just about the history of even K-pop and how even maybe that helped to open the doors for those kinds of things. So anyway, music was very important to people in Korea at this time because they were going through a lot, and I think for all of us around the world, music has always been a form of expression. It's always something that you can do regardless of which emotion you're in. You can have a happy song, you can have a sad song, you can have an angry song. You know, it's also a way of being with people and being together with people in terms of, you know, maybe inspiring each other and understanding, like, you know, we're all going through the same thing, and it's nice that we can kind of, it's not nice what we're going through, but it's nice that we can, like, you know, sympathize with each other and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it all started. You had the US Army base, and obviously the people in Korea were really, really happy to be able to perform for the Western people because, well, fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way that you choose to see it, I see it as unfortunate. We, those of us who are not from the Western world, have always kind of have been kind of brainwashed, I feel, to idolize this Western way of doing things. It's kind of been put onto us, but we've also now, you know, we very much participate in that. So a lot of the Korean music artists were really happy to be able to perform for the Americans, and also the Americans really loved the things that they were doing. So I think that's actually awesome, though. Although I don't like I said, about the whole westernized version of things and how, you know, the way everybody kind of wants to be seen well in the West and stuff. I do like the fact that there was that sense of collaboration and acceptance between the US Army people and the Koreans, and that, you know, the Koreans were able to expand themselves through the opportunity, which I think is awesome. But unfortunately, it was not all lilies and roses, because what then happened is a new president called President Park came into power, and he was not a fan of this. He actually saw the rock bands as criminals, and so he decided that they started to be treated very much as criminals, you know, being imprisoned and things like that, up until the point where musicians were actually offered to be spared, you know, any punishments if they handed over other musicians. So that's again crazy that music, again, for me, that highlights the fact that music obviously has power, in the sense that why was he so threatened by music? Again, this music in particular was also really focused, and not really focused, but was really something that was igniting the younger audiences, because traditionally before these types of musics, the music had kind of been a bit sadder at the time, like I said, because of what people have been going through. But also I think, you know, for the younger audience, they kind of wanted something new, and so this pop culture thing was really awesome. So in the end anyways, these artists got banned and the tradition of this music died out. But this was not the end, because in 1988 the Olympics came to South Korea, and this was a massive turning point. I think for a lot of people in Korea and even their governments, they realized how powerful that this was, and also again probably having the Western people coming over and wanting to do the things that they wanted to do probably also helped with that as well. So in the 90s there started to be a bit of a dance culture. They started to have, you know, the nightclubs and things like we would see today, and that's kind of where, you know, the way we see K-pop today kind of really started to spear off in that time, because now people could finally go out, you know, and dance. I think a lot of K-pop nowadays is about dance, and I'm going to talk about that as well. And 1992, the Culture and Tourism Institute in Korea decided that they wanted to look to overseas to try and also gain, you know, popularity and things like that. And this is what some people call the Korean wave, where they started to kind of meld together more this kind of Western rhythm and the Eastern melodies and the melodies that they had, and put those two things together, which kind of created a bit of a lovely little love child between the rhythms that the Western people liked and were used to, and I think that the Korean people, particularly the younger Korean people, were really feeling was vibing with where they wanted to go, but also still giving them, you know, their own melodies from home, their, you know, things that they can relate to with the people that they can relate from. But this was very much a business, and I'm going to probably talk more about how much of a business that K-pop in and of itself was, probably in my video where I talk about the rise. But what I will say for now is that well, actually, I guess I should mention a particular group, which let me just double check that I've written down their name. Yes, CL Taji, I believe is their name, made their debut on the show, and this was another big moment, because basically this performance that they did, it was a group of guys. I think it was CO and the boys, isn't it? There was like the main guy and then the two guys as well. So they went on a talent show, and this is the funny thing about history and just about life, by the way, guys. This is a really good learning moment, and I really kind of thought about this after learning about this. They went on a talent show and where they performed, and they did like a full-blown, like hard-hitting, heavy dance routine whilst also performing the song. Now, in the actual competition, they scored poorly. The judges actually making some pretty horrible comments, saying, you know, about what they had done. I think, you know, when you do something new, and this is something to be just a life lesson just to throw in there as well, that when you do something new, sometimes when you do something new, people don't always take it well, and that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong per se, because a lot of the time people need to experience something and fully understand it before they're okay with it. And also, if you shock people with something immediately that they haven't seen before, it's kind of like, whoa, you know, they need a minute. But although that they had got a pretty bad experience on the show in terms of the judges, overnight they basically became a massive success in Korea, particularly with the young people who were really messing with the sound and who really liked kind of, I think, the performance plus, especially now that dance culture has become a thing in the last few years, and melding all those things together. And I think that is where we really started to see the beginnings of K-pop. So yes, that is my history of K-pop and where it came from. There's so many more things I could have said, and this is very much a briefish history, if you will, but I just wanted to offer this as an opportunity for us to start to break down all the different pieces as to where we got to today, and to kind of take some of these things into account into the future when looking at how these things evolve. So anyways, that's all that I'm going to say for this video. Please watch out for the next video where I'm going to be doing the history of J-pop. As I said, it's all going to be, once all the videos are uploaded, they're all going to be in a playlist for you to watch all the way through. I hope you found this interesting. Let me know down below what you have found interesting. Let me know the history that you know, if you know history that I haven't mentioned, or anything key that I haven't mentioned. And again, apologies to the Koreans and Korean culture for butchering names and all sorts. I try to avoid really using names and things like that, because I find it, my name is hard, I don't think it's hard to say, but people struggle to pronounce it properly, and I think, you know, it's a bit sad, and I want to be able to show the correct respect that I could for you guys, for your names and your culture and everything. So please, if anybody is watching this, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on my little ad-libs and things that I've added in there as well, and I'll see you in my next video, and I'll be talking about the history of J-pop. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to watch the other videos. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're feeling the vibe and you want to join the tribe. God bless you all, and I'll see you next time.